you see, your attitude changes as you grow older. What is important to a young girl? She looks for looks. Does he have a car? Does he ride around? Is he a good dancer? Can he do a mambo? But when she's 25, what kind of job does he have? How much money does he make? What are his prospects? When she's 35, what does she look for? What kind of disposition? Will he be good? Will he be kind? Will he be true? At 45, what does she do? He looks. Now, one woman said, I waited so long for my ship to come in, my pier collapsed. Let me give you a definition of love. This definition has taken me years to compose. It's very brief, but it's packed with tremendous amount of psychology. Packed because it gives you the essence of true love in one sentence. Now, I appeared on the Jack Parr Show some months ago, and the very last thing I said, in answer to a woman's question in the audience, and what is love, was this definition. I received over 400 letters from people all over America asking me to send them a copy of it. It's a simple little definition, and yet, if you will think of it, each word has a meaning, and each word gives you the secret of what true love is. And if the love doesn't match the definition, it is not love. It may be infatuation, whooping cough, measles, or stomach trouble, but it is not love. Here's the definition. Love, ladies and gentlemen, is an attitude between two people who have many things in common, tastes, interests, points of view, and that they share these things in common, in companionship, to the degree that they are stronger together than either one is alone. Now, you think about that, and you'll see why it is utterly impossible, based on definition, to find love overnight, to find it at first sight, to find it in one day or 1 week. It can't be done, because if love is an attitude has to be developed, an understanding. If it is based on many things in common, tastes, interests, points of view, and that you share these things in common to the extent that you are stronger together than either one is alone. This takes effort, time, knowledge, understanding, and a feeling not only for yourself but for the other person. Ladies and gentlemen, you've also learned the secret of how to get someone to be in love with you. If someone who is with you feels stronger with you than alone, feels something in his or her life that they didn't have without you, they don't want to be without you. That's what love is. It is a strengthening of your personality through another. It is getting something you didn't have before. It is something that gives you more security because you are stronger. But to get such a thing, you can't get it by going around with anyone. It must be someone who is on your level of thinking, of interests, of enjoyment, of joys, who can share your viewpoints. That is why it is possible for a Jewish girl to marry a Catholic boy and find happiness and love. It is thoroughly possible, but it is not as likely as if a Catholic boy would marry a Catholic girl and a Jewish boy would marry a Jewish girl. It is better because of the sharing of interests. And the same thing applies to age. It isn't the wide difference in age that makes the difference. It's the fact that wide differences in age carry different points of view, carry different values. What is important to you at 20 is not important to you at 40. And what is important at 40 may not be important at 20. And so these things are not shared together. So you see, if love is built on a strong foundation of respect and admiration and grows little by little with tiny acts of kindness, cementing it firmly with consideration for the welfare of the other person, then love will live forever. If you want someone to be in love with you, you go with them. Make sure that every time you're with them, something is exchanged between you. A thought, a joy, a pleasure, an experience, even a sorrow. But it is shared by the two of you. And if, in so doing, you continue this, you will find the person will one day say, I love you. And they love you because through you, they are stronger. And they want to stay with you because being with you, they feel better than being alone. A man doesn't say, will you marry me, because he wants to do you a favor. Why don't you marry me, Herman? Look at me. I'm undernourished. I'm working hard. Every day I'm sick. I throw up regularly at 12 o'clock. Do me a favor. Marry me, Herman. Why? He doesn't marry you to do you a favor. He marries you to do himself a favor. And so the only time he feels that you're doing him a favor is when he feels life without you is not as pleasant as life with you. But this is not something you rush. It is something you discover. You can't go with someone 2 days and say, marry me. That's enough. We've kept company long enough. Marry me. It doesn't work that way. It's, when I talk about attitude, you see, also your sense of humor. If someone who's with you feels happier when they're with you, and they always feel a little more joy, that is, you have a good sense of humor. You'd be surprised how a good sense of humor encourages love. It's like the watering of the plant. It's like putting a little fertilizer in the soil. If I go out with a girl and being with her, no matter how depressed I may have been when I met her, I laugh and I forget my sorrow. I enjoy being with her. Next time I'm depressed, I think of her. That's the one I want to be with. I call her up. Meet me. Why? I don't know why I like to be with her. I just like to be with her. I like to be with her because she helps me out of the depression. She makes me feel better. I'll show you what I mean by that kind of thing, kind of attitude. There's a waitress in one of the country resorts, very sloppy waitress. She's always breaking dishes. The maitre d' told her if she breaks any more dishes, she's going to be discharged. She happened to walk along with one of these sugar bowls with a lump sugar in it. She dropped the whole bowl. So she quickly pushed the glass under the tables, picked up all the sugar, and threw it into her bosom. She walked by one of the tables. One of the men said, "Waitress, can I have some sugar, please, for my coffee?" She said, "1 lump or 2?" He says, "2 lumps, please." She says, "Here you are." She says, "Would you like some cream, too?" He says, "You wouldn't dare." Now, we're going to have a question and answer period so we can answer some of your questions on this. If you have any, I want to give you an opportunity to ask them. But remember this, will you please? There is such a thing in love as conditioning. If you go out with someone, you should condition them to you. And you can create a love that way. But remember, it'll take a little time, but you'll always accomplish it. If you're a man, and you go out with a girl, and every time she's with you, you treat her as if she were somebody. That is, when you're with her, she feels better. Her sense of ego, her sense of face, of importance is increased. She can't help but like you. The liking can mellow into love if all the other factors are favorable. And the same thing works the other way around. It's little tiny acts of kindness that bring people together and that keep the love growing. I'm thinking, for example, when you speak of, of things you share in common and little acts of kindness, a married couple decided, Jewish, newly rich couple decided to go for culture in a big way. They started to go to parties where all sorts of cultural subjects were brought up. They came to one party and they were talking about music. And the names Bach, Beethoven, Mozart were mentioned. So the wife said, "Mozart? I know him very well. Every day I see he gets on the number 5 bus and goes to the beach." Well, an embarrassed silence settled over the entire assembly. But no one said anything. When the husband got his wife in the car on the way home, he said, "Did you have to open your big mouth and show how ignorant you are? Everybody knows the number 5 bus doesn't go to the beach." Now, did you ever meet someone at a party that you thought was handsome, and after you talked to them a while, you didn't think they were so handsome anymore? Did you ever meet someone you thought was rather homely, and after you talked to them a while, you say, "You know something? Your looks change while you talk." Their looks don't change at all. You know what is happening? Years ago, a masterpiece of a movie was produced. It was years before its time. They'll be able to show it 100 years from today, and it will be just as timely and just as magnificent. The movie was called The Enchanted Cottage, and in it, it told, almost as a fairy tale, one of the truest realities of life, and that is a man whose face is twisted and deformed through an accident in the war, hides himself away in a cottage where an ugly, homely girl who refuse to let it go out and even meet anybody else, get together in their loneliness, in their desperation, and in their ugliness. They marry each other. And they never go out of the cottage because they don't want anybody to see their ugly faces. One day, as they looked into each other's eyes, gone, completely gone, was the deformity, the twisting, the crookedness. Gone was the ugliness. Gone was the homeliness. And in its place, she had the most radiant, lovely, angelic face. And he had the most handsome appearance you could possibly imagine. They looked at each other and they knew a miracle had happened. They felt that it was due to the enchantment of the cottage. They invited all their family and friends for the first time in years to come to their home for a party. They were going to surprise them because at midnight, when the guests were all gathered, they were going to take each other arm in arm, walk down the stairs, and let everyone who had seen them when they were ugly look at their new radiant beauty. When the magic moment came, and they took each other tenderly, arm in arm, to go down the steps, everybody looked at their faces and turned away with the same pity. They could not understand it. Why did everybody see the same homeliness, the same ugliness, the same crookedness, when they could see only beauty in each other? This was surely an enchantment. What they didn't know was that love had woven the enchantment by their tenderness, by their thoughtfulness, by their adoration for each other, and for the kindness that each one gave the other, for the strength and the happiness that each one contributed to the other. They became enormously beautiful in each other's eyes. But no other eyes could see that beauty. Now, this isn't a fairy tale, because we all can do it. We can weave an enchantment. That is why someone may look at you and say, "My God, what a schmendrick." They see nothing in you. But when you talk to them, and when you are with them, and when you treat them in a certain charming way, you become enormously good-looking. And so the enchantment is woven, just as love is developed, in exactly the same way. So this is the only fairy tale that has its truth in reality. Not the stories of the Prince Charming coming to wake up the sleeping princess. Forget about that. Now, one more thing. Please make a distinction between sex and love. Sex is a passionate interest in another body. Love is a passionate interest in another personality and what they are. Sex craves fulfillment, satisfaction. Love craves only fulfillment. You can force a person to sex. You can never force him to love. You can buy sex. You can never buy love. Sex expression, of course, on the human level, is always most satisfying when it comes as an expression of true love. This is the epitome of sex expression, when it comes through love, rather than just for physical gratification. But many people can never think of whiskey without soda. Some people can only think of whiskey straight. Some can only think of soda straight. Some people can think of sex straight. Others can't think of sex without love. You see, it's a question, again, of attitude and what you find in the particular thing. So don't confuse lovemaking with love. There's a difference between petting and loving. Why is it that men seem to be the aggressor and women always seem to be running away and saving their chastity? Why don't men save their chastity? Well, first of all, it's a social thing. And secondly, why is it a social thing? It's no accident. A woman becomes pregnant. That's the answer. A man doesn't become pregnant. Not yet. I'm working on it. You know the story about a girl at college? She was found to be pregnant, so she was sent to the dean's office. The dean said, "Is it one of the boys in the college?" She said, "Yes." "Which one?" She told him. They sent for the boy. When the boy came in, they said, "You see that girl?" He said, "Yes." "She says she's pregnant." "Yes." She says, "You're the father." "Yes." "Is it true?" "Yes." He said, "What are you going to do about it?" He says, "I apologize." You see, That's why men have the attitude about sex that they do and women do not. Because what are the consequences to a man? I apologize. You see, the attitude is rooted in reality. Here, since a woman has to give birth and a man does not, there you have the attitude. It's like one girl said, she was out on a date with a very aggressive man, whom she called a wolf. Her mother ordered her to be home by midnight. She says, that was 4 hands I had to watch. You want to think about that one a little longer? Now, you see, a great many of us have a desire to be loved because we find that in our frustration, in our failure, we think love is going to rescue us from this disappointment. That's true. Because we feel that love gives us a feeling of comfort, security. And you know what this really is? It isn't a search for love because you want to love someone and give them something, but because you're trying to escape from your own inadequacy. Ask yourself, when you're searching for love, why am I searching for it? Is it because I crave true fulfillment, or because I'm trying to escape from a neurotic existence where I'm anxious and frightened of life? That's an interesting question to answer. Also, remember, have a little sense of humor about it. If you lose a sweetheart, forget it. There are lots more around. There's no one and only for anyone in this world at all. If you lose one, you can build a better one, a greater one. Don't be broken-hearted. I lost my one and only. I saw a grown woman, must be 35 years old, so she's pretty well grown. And she was crying no end the other day because a man said she was in love with brought another girl to the party. I said, so what? So what? If you want him, fight for it, try and get it, but have a sense of humor about it. He's not going to go after you because you're crying in your beer, because you're chasing him. By the way, don't chase love. You can't beg for it. You can't pursue it and catch it in the net. If love comes to you, it comes freely as a gift. It can never be begged for. Don't plead for love. You'll only kill it further. And once it's dead, it's dead. There's nothing deader than a dead love. So look for another. And when you come to a dance such as this, don't sit in corners and think, I don't like what's here. Look at all these beasts. Or apes. So there's no men and women here, only beasts and apes. Don't say that. Practice your social talents. Dance with people when they ask you to. Ask them to. Practice being a person. And if they strike you as stupid or uninteresting, you can always drop them. But after all, don't drop too quickly. They may have friends. Find out. Let me leave you with this thought. Everyone who wants love at any age, from 6 to 96, may have it. Anyone. You just simply have to know how to create it. But the power to create it is in your power. It is not a magical gift that some have and some do not. You don't have to be a gorgeous girl. You don't have to be a ravingly handsome man. This isn't necessary to find love, because all sorts of the plainest people have enduring love. All sorts of people whose looks have long since faded have deep enduring loves. I heard one girl say the other day, she says, I understood. My mother used to tell me that for every girl in this country, there's a man walking around somewhere. She says, all I can say is that someplace in the country, one girl is going around with 2 men. I hope you will find what you want. Thank you. Now stay where you are, because we're going to have 5 minutes of questions and answers. As soon as these lights go on, come on up, Mo, you take the questions. Dr. Gittleson is a physician in private practice in Brooklyn, and he's a very good question and answer man.
I'll call on the lady first, but remember, keep your questions brief so we get around as many as possible.
I'd like to know what makes Mr. Banks such a good authority on love and marriage, whether it's just books or experience.
The lady wants to know, in fact, she asked this question before in private, what makes Dr. Banks such an authority on love and marriage? Is it just books or experience?
My dear, if it was experience, I would have been burned out years ago. I wouldn't be here now. I'd be getting injections. When I speak on love and marriage, I don't speak from my point of view alone. I may or may not even agree with some of these things, personally. But you see, when I speak to you about love or marriage, I have to give you the thoughts, the thinking, the findings, and the study of thousands of minds and brains who have found out certain things about it. Now, for example, people ask me very often if I'm married. How many of you think I'm single? Will you raise your hands? Hi. How many think I'm married? Well, my students ask me the same question. I say, one girl one day, well, what do you think? She says, you're married. I said, why? She says, you look tired. Another one said, no, you're single. She says, you run around too much. Another one stood up one day, she says, well, I happen to know. I said, well, tell the class. She says, you've been married, but are separated. I said, why? She said, I can easily see how someone would marry you, but how they could live with you, I'll never know. Let's take the next question now.
All right, that's it.
Take the next question.
Is it possible for a person to live a happy life if he is being loved and he is not able to give back, he or she is not able to give back the other party of love? Can he live a happy life or she would live a happy life?
There's a gentleman here, he's in a bad way, this fella. He has his troubles. He says it's possible for a man to live a happy life if he's being loved, but feels he cannot return that love.
I think we all of us, need love in our lives. Now, there are people who are so selfish, so wrapped up in themselves, that they really cannot love another. But they want to be loved. But they're not willing to give it for various reasons. One, they're afraid. They're afraid of being hurt, for example. They're afraid if they love someone, they can be hurt. Very often, someone is hurt, builds a shell. They don't want to be in love again. Love, schmub, I hate it, drop dead. You see, because they've been hurt. Now, they need it. But it's true that love is a two-edged sword. It gives you and can give you much pain, but it also gives you much joy. And if you cut off the pain, you also cut off the joy. I think you can certainly live your life without loving anyone. I don't think it'll be a very rich life. I don't think that your life will be bring you as much joy and fulfillment as it could. Now, of course, when I speak of love, I am speaking of all the various kinds of love that a person may have. And the different kinds of love. Love of our own dear ones in our family. But we're speaking here tonight, of course, of romantic love, of the kind of love that you have for a person of the opposite sex. And this, of course, may or may not cross your path. This doesn't mean that you have a life without love. It means you never had that kind of love.
I want to ask that gentleman, if the fact as you state, does your conscience bother you? No? Oh, this is a hypothetical case. Stand up, please, and keep your voice up.
I'd like to find out, does emotions have to do with anything with love?
Yes.
Is that...
Another question, understanding must have something to do with love. After the emotions said it.
The gentleman asked a double-barreled question, and I'm sure he knows the answer, but he wants Dr. Banks to expand on it. First, I can't imagine that he doesn't. Does emotion have anything to do with love, and his understanding have anything to do with it too?
Let's take the second part first. Unless there is true understanding, there will never be love. There will be sex interest, there will be anxiety interest, neurotic interest, but not true love. True love must be based on understanding. Must be based. Without that, you don't have the soil. Secondly, is love an emotion? Love must necessarily be an emotional thing, because it is something you feel and respond to that fills you with either pain, sorrow, or joy, which of course is all emotional. Certainly, love is an emotional experience. Now, that is why is it that you will find some face will attract you and others will not? You have an emotional reaction. I don't like his face. Did you ever meet him? No, I just don't like him. Look at him. Well, what's wrong with him? Look at him. He looks a little bit repulsive, doesn't he? Say, I had a man who sat in my office one day and he said to me, Dr. Banks, would you look at me, please? I said, I'm looking. He says, tell me, why do the women find me so repulsive? You know that the same day, 2 hours later, a woman sat in my office and she said to me in the same words, Dr. Banks, tell me, please, why do the men find me so repulsive? Right away, I thought I'd introduce the two of them. It's one of my sidelines. Well, I arranged a meeting, and what do you think happened? They found each other repulsive. We'll take 2 more questions.
Yes.
2 more.
That gentleman. A lady? Oh, all right. Please.
I'd like to ask one question. If a person loves an animal so much as his heart and soul, does that have anything to do mentally or something with the person? Does they feel a love for
Does it mean there's anything wrong with the person?
Well, no, I mean, is that like a normal reaction of people like them?
If he loves an animal.
Yes.
The lady wants to know if a person has an animal, a pet, loves the animal B, is that a normal condition?
Look, there are different kinds of love. You love your mother, you love your brother, you may love your husband, you love your child, you can love your dog. But that doesn't mean you love your dog the same way you do your sweetheart, unless he's a bigger dog than the other one. A different... Now, wait. I mean there's a difference in the kind of love. I mean, you don't sit down and have a conversation with your dog or watch television with your dog. Well, maybe you do, but the dog isn't watching television. Listen, can I tell you about, listen, let me tell you about one married couple. Wait a minute, that's all right, but that's perfectly all right. He can watch television with you. As long as he doesn't understand it better than you do, you're all right. Now, here, listen, a married couple had a dog that they loved dearly. And you know, whenever they'd go out, they'd take the dog along. They bought tickets one day when Auntie Mame was playing on Broadway. They bought 3 tickets. One for the husband, one for the wife, and one for the dog. They went to the theater, and the husband sat on one side, the wife on the other, and the dog in the middle. And the dog sat up, and he watched the whole show, and he applauded at all the right points. The man sitting behind the dog was going out of his head. The first act he missed completely, watching the dog. Finally, he couldn't stand it anymore. He tapped the man on the shoulder. He says, "Mister, I must tell you, this is the most remarkable dog I've ever seen. Not only does he applaud at all the right points, but he actually enjoys the show. How do you explain it?" He says, "I don't know, he hated the book." With that happy thought, I leave you. Thank you.